to the cloud. Okay. And away we go. All right. Welcome everybody to the latest edition of Tea at 3 on Wednesdays. You are probably wondering where Richard is. And he is hosting an Alma Waterways riverboat cruise in France. And I'm Chris, I work in his office, and I try to explain to him that I thought that I should go on the riverboat cruise and he should do this presentation, but he declined. So here I am with my good friend, Donna Williams, and we are so excited to be here with you to talk about one of our main itineraries, and that is our Atlantic Maritimes tour featuring the maritime provinces, the Canadian Maritimes, so Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. How are you doing today, Donna?
Good, Chris. How are you?
Good, good, good. It's always great to see your face, my friend.
You too.
So without further ado, let's advance this. Except it's not. Okay, just one sec here. Oh, there we go. Okay. So our main Atlantic Maritimes tour, it's 13 days and 12 nights, and there are options to do various portions of that tour. You can do the first portion of it, which is the Wonders of the Bay of Fundy. The second portion, which is our Enchanting Islands tour. You can also do Cape Breton on its own, Prince Edward Island on its own. So the main tour, the full 13-day experience, is the Atlantic Maritimes tour. Here we have a shot of one of the highlights of the itinerary, the Hopewell Rocks on the Bay of Fundy. So most, all of our tours of the Maritimes start in Halifax, and they begin with an overnight at our Cambridge Suites Hotel. We just love our friends at the Cambridge. They take such good care of our guests. So Donna, why don't you take it away? You've done this tour probably about, I don't know, what, 300 or 400 times? So why don't you walk us through it?
Thank you, Chris, and welcome to everyone who's joining us today. The slide that you're looking at there is the beautiful Cambridge Suites Hotel, which is located right downtown Halifax. You can walk to the waterfront to explore lots of restaurant and pubs and stuff within the vicinity of the hotel as well. And this is where our tour will start. And we are going to start with a meet and greet the first evening. If you're not able to attend the meet and greet, that's okay. We'll catch up with you later on. It's basically just an opportunity for you to meet some of your traveling companions, make friends, find out where everybody's from and so on. But you're not really going to miss a whole bunch of information because we will go over everything with everyone on the bus the next day for those who are not able to attend.
Perfect.
Okay, so the next morning we're going to leave Halifax. So you're going to get a glimpse of the downtown area as we drive out of town, making our way along. Our first break stop in the morning is going to be at Masstown Market, and that's going to give you an opportunity for a washroom break. Grab a coffee. They have a wonderful bakery there. They have a produce section there, and so on. So lots of items there that you can pick up a few little things to take with you on the tour. And we do try to make frequent stops. We usually stop every 2 hours or less for washroom or break stops. So we will be doing various stops throughout the day.
This is certainly a favorite stop of mine when I do, little road trips throughout the province. Like the bakery, everything is so amazing, right?
Oh, it's delicious. And ice cream.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how many flavors to pick from, right?
Yeah, it's just a great stop. Everybody loves it here. Perfect. So we're going to continue when we leave Masstown Market. We're going to continue making our way along. We're going to be going to Joggins Fossil Cliffs, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We're going to be stopping along the way, hopefully for some pictures. And once we get to Joggins, we're going to have an included lunch when we're there. We're going to have a guided tour of the museum. And we're also going to have a guided beach walk if we're able. If it's low tide, we'll go down right on the ocean and do a beach walk. And you're going to learn how Nova Scotia came to be, how Nova Scotia was formed. We're going to learn about the coal industry. We're going to learn about fossils. The things that people learn here is totally amazing. The guides are fantastic. And sometimes if you get people that think, well, I'm not really into fossils, they come after we come back on the bus leaving here, they're just amazed at all of the different things that they learned that they weren't sure if they were even going to be interested in. There's a little bit for everybody here. So it's quite an interesting stop.
Awesome. So after lunch, we're heading to, back. How do we do that? There we go. So we're heading to New Brunswick after lunch.
Yes, we're going to cross the border into the province of New Brunswick, and we're going to make our way to Shediac. Shediac, New Brunswick is actually the claim to fame, as they call themselves the lobster capital of the world. And as you can see, there's a giant lobster right in the main area of town. And we do a stop here so that people can take some pictures.
It's a nice keepsake, right? To
Yeah,
have that shot with everyone in front of the giant
we should have put
lobster.
one of those pictures up, Chris, because I mean, we usually have people crawling all over this lobster. They're covered with people. We'll
That's
have to
right.
put that one up
That's
in
right.
another shot.
Good idea, Donna. Good idea.
After we finish taking some pictures and so on here at the giant lobster, we're going to make our way down to the Pointe du Chêne wharf. And when we get to Pointe du Chêne, we're going to be doing a boat cruise. Now, this is definitely going to be a highlight as well. This is Shediac Bay Cruises, and this is where we're going to go, and we're going to learn all about the lobster industry. The captain on the ship is actually a retired lobster fisherman. He's going to explain all about the industry itself back in his day, and also what it's like today. We're going to learn about everything you ever wanted to know about a lobster and more, the secret life of a lobster as well. We're going to show you how to bait the traps. We're going to show you how to bring the traps up. You're going to see live lobster and learn all about them. But you know what? It's a learning experience, and you're going to learn things that you never ever knew, but it's also a lot of fun. I mean, Ron is amazing. He's an amazing character. I don't want to give too much away, but it's going to be a great experience. And then after that, we're going to, this is all happening while we're out cruising the bay. And after that, we're going to have a lobster supper. If you don't like lobster, that's okay, because there are alternates available. It's a great experience, lots of fun. It's very, very calm experience on this boat. You're not going out. If it was rough or rocky, they would just do it at the dock. So no fear, you're not going to get sick or anything in these big tidal wave waters. It's great. It's a fun experience, and one you'll always remember.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So then we head to Moncton for the night.
Yeah, and Moncton's a beautiful city, so we're going to spend an overnight there. Moncton's only a short drive away from Shediac, so it's not like we have a big long drive or anything. The shot there you can see is Moncton, and Moncton is not the capital of New Brunswick, but it is the largest city. It's a very modern city, and every year I go back, it's growing, and population is increasing and so on. And in the back of the buildings there, you'll see there's the Petitcodiac River. And the Petitcodiac River is actually where we have a tidal bore occur when the high tides of the Bay of Fundy roll into the Petitcodiac, pushing against it. The water comes in like a wave, and that's called a tidal bore. That happens twice a day. And we are actually within walking distance of Tidal Bore Park. On a tour, you can't control the tides or the weather, but if it happens to be happening when we're in Moncton, we could certainly walk down from the hotel and you can have a look at that. And
Nice.
we're staying at the beautiful Crown Plaza Hotel right on Main Street in Moncton. It's gorgeous property. So you already have your supper. Once we get you checked in, you can go walk on Main Street and see the downtown area. You can go out to one of the pubs maybe and enjoy some local entertainment, have a beer or whatnot, or you can walk down to Titlebore Park, or you can just stay in your room and relax. They also have a fitness center, a pool, and a sauna. You know, lots of things that you can do this evening once we get checked in.
All right. So one of the highlights the next morning.
Yes. Okay. So the next morning, off we go to Hopewell Rocks, and Hopewell is only a short drive from Moncton, so it's great. We're going to be there early in the morning. Once we get there, we're going to learn all about the tides, and a lot of people from away don't understand how tides work. And I'm telling you, if you know nothing about tides, by the time you leave Hopewell Rocks, you will be a tidal expert. We have guides join us there, and they are amazing. You're going to learn how the tides are affected by the moon and the sun. You're going to learn why we have the highest tides in the world on the Bay of Fundy, the shape of the bay. You see people walking around in this slide. They're walking on the ocean floor. If we are there at low tide, you'll have the opportunity to do that as well. You'll see these large rock formations jutting up into the sky, and you'll see wet marks on the rocks. And you'll know that just in a few hours, that area will be completely covered with water right up to the top of the rocks. Okay.
It's totally incredible, right?
Yeah, it's high enough to cover a 4-story apartment building. It's amazing. And then just a couple of hours later, like 6 hours and 13 minutes later, you're walking on the ocean floor again. So it's really, really amazing to see this and to learn all about the tides. And after we do this, we're also going to visit the Interpretive Center, where we're going to learn all about the marine life of the Bay of Fundy and some of the birds that come to this particular area. The guides are phenomenal. This will be a highlight.
We went to the Hopewell Rocks on my class trip back in 1997, and I didn't make it back for, it was about 20 years before I made it back. And I mean, this stuff for those of us here, I mean, this is right in our backyard, right?
Exactly.
And it's just incredible. It's just incredible. The comments on this, folks are always very, very pleased.
They're amazed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they appreciate too, Chris, is that they understand it. They don't just see it, but by the time they finish with their guides, they understand it. So
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So lunch in Alma.
Yes, after Hopewell Rocks, we make our way to Alma, where we have an included lunch for you, a really, really nice included lunch. You can see Alma is another area of the Bay of Fundy where the tides go out, and a lot of people are quite amazed to see pictures like this when you see the boats that are docked in the sand or in the mud, and you know, knowing in a couple of hours later those boats will rise back up to almost the level of the dock. And it's a great opportunity to get some pictures, and it's a beautiful little community to have your lunch.
Nice. Now this is the first year that as we make our way to St. John, we're actually driving a portion of the Fundy Trail Parkway. We're very excited about this. It took a long time for this stretch of road to be completed, but just look at the view there. Now, Donna, you're a Cape Brettoner, so I'm not going to say it's comparable to your Cabot Trail, but it's gorgeous, right? It is
gorgeous, and we'll leave Alma from our lunch break, and then we're going to drive through Fundy National Park and then make our way here to the Parkway, get some beautiful scenic views, and then continue making our way into the city of St. John, where we're going to have a 2-night stay. St. John. Now, St. John looks totally different than Moncton. St. John is very old and historic looking, and this is our beautiful hotel, the Hilton, located on the waterfront. We're going to be here for a 2-night stay at the Hilton, which is fantastic. And then, as you can see, you're right on the water. And this is actually Market Slip. This is where the Loyalists landed when they first came in 1783. So these areas now have all been turned into pubs and restaurants, Market Square shopping complex, Brunswick Square. This is all walkable from your hotel. You can sit out at a pub and have dinner or have a beer, something like that. You can see the cruise ships as they're coming in or leaving port. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful hotel and a perfect location.
And during your 2-night stay here, we don't include dinner either night, just because there's so much to do in St. John in the evenings. And there's so many different options close to the hotel. Now, before checking this day, we do a city tour with a local guide. Now, Donna, that isn't when you visit the Reversing Falls, is it? You visit that separate from the time guide?
When we leave, after we leave Fundy Park and make our way into the city, we're going to actually take them to Reversing Falls, and we're going to tell them a little bit about that, how that works, and that's where the Bay of Fundy and the St. John River meet. And when it's high tide, the bay rises higher than the river and pushes against it with such force it actually makes it reverse its course. There's a lot of details with that, which we'll explain once we get there. We're going to have a local guide join us, and we'll do a little bit of touring around St. John before checking into the hotel.
Perfect. So then the next day, St. Andrews by the Sea, we spend a good chunk of the day there and just look at that quaint little town on the water. Just gorgeous, right?
It was beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I can't even describe it to you. It's amazing, historic town. It's beautiful. Once we get to St. Andrews, as Chris said, we're going to spend the entire day there. In the morning, we're going to do a whale watch. And on board the whale watch, you're going to see different types of whales. You have a guide on board that's going to explain when the whale comes up. They'll tell you which kind of whale it is and what traits to look for when they come up. We'll see seals as well. We'll see bird colonies and so on. Very, very exciting experience. And one comment I'd like to mention here, as Chris mentioned, I've done this tour a zillion times, and people always say, oh, what's a whale watch? We've been on a whale watch here and there, and they can hardly see the whales. They're like little specks a million miles away from the boat. Look at this. These on this whale watch, the whales are going to come right up to the boat. Like, you're going to be very, very, very close to the whales, and people are amazed. Like, even the ones that have done whale watch before, they will comment that they've never seen whales this close up before. So it's really, really fun.
Fantastic.
Go
ahead.
Once we finish our whale watch in St. Andrews, we're going to go to the restaurant. We're going to have included lunch, and then you're going to have some time in St. Andrews to explore the area, visit the shops. If you don't want to shop, there's lots of historic sites that you can visit, and I will take you around and show you where everything is, or whoever your tour director is will take you around and show you where the historic sites are if shopping isn't your thing. And after that full day, we're going to head back to St. John, to the beautiful Hilton, for our overnight. And then the next day, we are going to get on bay ferries and take the ferry across the bay, bringing us back to the province of Nova Scotia. When we dock in Nova Scotia, we're going to be in Digby. And Digby is actually the scallop capital of the world. If you've never tried them, this would be the place to try scallops. They're nice, they're fresh, they're amazing here. We have a one-night stay. You have an included dinner. Scallops will be one of the choices on the menu. And you're going to be staying at the beautiful, beautiful Digby Pines Resort. Now, this is just a gorgeous property. You're not going to want to leave. The food here is absolutely amazing. You can see they have a huge, big outdoor pool. I've never seen such a large outdoor pool at a hotel before. So, I mean, you could have a swim before dinner. You could go to the bar and have a drink. There's walking trails if you want to go walk around the property a little bit, but it's just a beautiful little spot.
Okay, so the following morning, we begin our trip back to Halifax via the Annapolis Valley.
Yes, we're going to leave Digby and we're going to drive the whole stretch through the Annapolis Valley today. And the Annapolis Valley, from Digby right through to Windsor, would be our farming region for Nova Scotia. You have the mountain ranges, so you're in a valley. It's a little bit more sheltered there. The temperatures in the summertime are warmer there, so ideal growing conditions. You're going to see all types of different farms as we travel the highway, different types of produce that they grow, and you're also going to see lots of orchards, apple orchard, pear orchards. The valley is full of wineries as well, so you're going to see grapes, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful drive through the valley.
Nice.
In the morning, as we're driving through the valley, our first stop in the morning is going to be at Grand Pré, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. When we talk about our history and the history of the Acadians that settled here, you're going to learn all about that history at Grand Pré. The Acadians that were expelled in 1755, you're going to learn why that happened and what that was all about here. It's an amazing site, very, very interesting. We're going to spend a little bit of time here in Grand Pré.
Now, one thing, I'm just going to interrupt you for one sec, Donna. I realized I forgot to tell everyone, if you have questions, be sure to note them in either the chat or the Q&A section, and we'll take a look at those at the end.
And there's a close-up of the church at Grand Pré. You'll be able to go inside there, and you see the statue of Evangeline. And Evangeline, if anybody's familiar with Longfellow's poem, Evangeline, and it was the story of two lovers that were separated because of the deportation or the expulsion of the Acadians that took place in 1755. And that's what that statue was there for.
All right.
Okay, so after our visit at Grand Pré, we're only like a few minutes drive from Wolfville. And when we get to Wolfville, we're going to let you loose for a little bit to explore the area and have some free time to grab something for your lunch. And then we're going to get back on the bus, and we have another short drive taking us to a winery where we're going to be doing a winery tour and tasting. You're going to learn all about the different wines that are produced here in Nova Scotia, award-winning wines, and you're going to have an opportunity to taste some of these.
Fantastic. And then we end up in Halifax again. So
yes, after your winery tour, we're back on the bus and we're making our way to Halifax, where we have a 2-night stay. The people, as Chris will explain, this is the ending part of the Bay of Fundy portion, right?
That's right. So if you are doing the Wonders of the Bay of Fundy portion, you will be heading home on the day 7. If you're doing the whole tour, you're going to have a 2-night stay in Halifax. We'll get into what we'll be doing on the next day shortly, but again, we don't include dinners over the 2-night stay in Halifax. There's so much to do in Halifax. There's so much to see, and you'll definitely want those evenings free to explore and enjoy some cuisine and the pubs and all of that good stuff. So if you're doing the second portion of the tour, here's where you would be checking in. So the second portion of the tour, it's the Enchanting Islands tour. It's 8 days, 7 nights. And that starts with certainly one of the highlights of the trip, and that is a visit to Peggy's Cove.
Peggy's Cove. So we're going to get up early and we're going to go to Peggy's Cove and we're going to have our breakfast there. And Peggy's Cove is probably one of the #1 tourist area that's visited in this area. So it tends to get very busy, very crowded, very fast. So the purpose of us taking you up there for breakfast is, #1, you're going to get a really nice order off the menu breakfast with choices, various choices. It's a nice breakfast. And then the bonus part 2 is that we're going to be up there nice and early before all of these crowds of people come. So you're going to be able to get pictures of your lighthouse and the rocks and so on. Go explore the area, and you'll see as we're leaving, like bus after bus, start to come and arrive. It gets very, very crowded here. So we are going to go up for breakfast in the morning, but we're doing it to benefit you, and you'll be very, very pleased with the results.
Perfect. I'm hitting the button. Tom, nothing's happening. You should be looking at Lunenburg right now, but the computer doesn't want to go past Peggy's Cove because it's such a beautiful shot there.
Yeah.
Just bear with me one sec while I try to
Sure.
figure out what's going on here. There we go.
Okay, so there you go, just a glitch. After we leave Peggy's Cove, we're gonna do our little drive along, and we're gonna make our way to Lunenburg, also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And Lunenburg is absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. We're going to, there's Newtown Lunenburg and Old Town Lunenburg. We're going to the old part of town, and the street plan or the grid plan there is the same as it was when it was established in 1753. Very, very beautiful, colorful homes, very unique architecture in Lunenburg, sorry, absolutely beautiful. So once we get there, it's very, very hilly and very, like I say, the street plan was laid out very, very narrow. So we can't physically drive the bus around a lot of the streets in Lunenburg because the bus is too wide. We'll hang it up. So what we do is we do a walking tour for those that are interested, and we're going to start at the top of the hill because it's very hilly, and we're going to make our way down. The bus will be parked down at the Fisheries Museum, and so we'll do a walking tour, making our way down to the museum. And this way, you get to see all the beautiful architecture. I mean, it doesn't look like any other place. It's very unique. It's very, very beautiful. Once we get down to the Fisheries Museum, your admission will be paid for that as well, so that you can do a visit at the Fisheries Museum. And you'll also have free time. There's the red building is the Fisheries Museum. You'll see the restaurants and stuff there, all kinds of shops and restaurants that you'll have free time to browse around, get your lunch, take some pictures, and explore. It's a beautiful spot.
It truly is one of my favorites, and another of my favorite day trips on the South Shore is Mahone Bay.
Yes, and we can't miss that. So once we leave Lunenburg, we're going to take a drive through Mahone Bay. You can see this beautiful shot of the three churches. And we're going to stop so you can get a picture of those three churches. And it's funny because when you're in the gift shops looking around, you're going to see calendars with this picture on it. You're going to see postcards with this picture on it. But we'll stop so you can actually get a picture like this on your camera. We'll spend a little bit of time in Mahone Bay. We'll do a walk through the town for those that want to. Great opportunity to get some pictures here as well. Just beautiful.
Yeah. And so many, artisan galleries and, little museums and stuff. It's very quaint and lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we head back to Halifax for another overnight at the Cambridge Suites. Again, so much to do and see in the evenings in Halifax. And then the following morning, it's all aboard the bus again as we head to Prince Edward Island. But first, we make a stop at Millbrook Cultural and Heritage Center.
Okay, so yes, we're going to head off to Millbrook in the morning after breakfast, and we're going to do a visit there. Now, this is a very, very interesting stop. The Mi'kmaq people were the first people that were here before any European settlement in our area. So we're going to actually visit here at the Cultural Center. You're going to have guides talk to you, and the guides are Mi'kmaq. They're going to talk about the Mi'kmaq language. They're going to talk about the history. They're going to talk about many, many different things. But what's interesting as well is you're going to have an opportunity to ask questions, because everybody from away is interested in this, and no matter where you come from, and you'll have an opportunity to get your questions answered. And I mean, I think that's one of the really great parts about this tour. You're traveling around with your driver and your tour director, and we're giving you the highlights, we're giving you history and information and so on. But to get the really in-depth information, when we go to these different places, we have specialized guides to give you this information, like the Mi'kmaq guides at the Cultural Center, or the Whale Watch guides, or so on the tidal exports at Hopewell. I mean, so you really have an opportunity. You're seeing beautiful things and experiencing beautiful things, but you're getting that educational aspect. You're learning every day as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. After we visited the Mi'kmaq Cultural Center, we will begin to make our way to Prince Edward Island. We're going to make a stop, have some lunch, and this time we're going to go to Prince Edward Island via the Confederation Bridge. Confederation Bridge is amazing, 12.9 kilometers in length, and it's the longest multi-span bridge over ice-covered waters in the world. And you're going to be going across it. And it's
And
great
on the
because
bus, yeah, I interrupted you there, but I think we're going to say the same thing. Like the view from the motor coach going across the bridge, it's just phenomenal, right?
It is, Chris, because there's cement sides. So if you're actually coming across the bridge in your car, you're looking at these sides, but because we're on the motor coach, we're up high enough that we're actually seeing over. So you're getting beautiful views of the Northumberland Strait as we're going across. While we're going across, I or whoever your tour director is, we're going to talk to you about when the bridge was built, why it was built, how it was built, about the construction, everything you ever wanted to know about the Confederation Bridge. And then once we get to the other side, we're going to take you somewhere where you can get a nice picture of the bridge. You can't really get one while you're going across, so we will take you so that you can get a nice picture of the bridge. And then we're going to do a stop here at Gateway Village. As you can see, the information sign, there's a tourist information center there. There's washrooms, there's gift shops, there's ice cream, and so on. So we'll do a little bit of a stop there before continuing to make our way into Charlottetown. And here we are in Charlottetown. Oh my gosh, I love it here. Everybody loves it here. It's small, but it's got everything that you would find in a big city, only on a smaller scale. The people are lovely. It's friendly. It's safe. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Once we get into Charlottetown, we will do a little bit of a city tour orientation, take you around, show you some of the sites downtown within walking distance of our hotel, because our hotel is right downtown as well. And well, there's our hotel there. We're staying at the historic Rod Charlottetown. This is it's a beautiful property within walking distance of the downtown core. So you can walk there, you can walk to the waterfront, you can walk to Victoria Park. So it's a perfect location and a wonderful stay here at the Rod Charlottetown. And that evening, we're going to be going to a performance of Anne of Green Gables, the musical. It's a fantastic musical and well worth seeing. It's included. And sometimes if Anne isn't playing, they do have an alternate available. So we'll just see what's happening when we get there. But no matter what is playing, it's an enjoyable experience for sure.
So we overnight at the Rod. The next morning, you have the choice of free time on your own or joining some of the Confederation players for a walking tour of Charlottetown.
Yes, we have a 2-night stay at that beautiful property. And in the morning, some people might choose to sleep in. Some people might want to go shopping or whatever. If you like, we're going to do a walking tour with these local guides. And they're going to give you all the history of Charlottetown. They're going to take you downtown, show you the historic buildings, Province House, St. Dunstan's Basilica. We're going to take you down to the waterfront area, and you're going to learn the role that Charlottetown played with the Confederation of Canada. So very, very interesting. If history is your thing, you don't want to miss this. Even if you do the walking tour, you're still going to have a little bit of time afterwards to go shopping or go to the waterfront or whatever it is you want to do before we head out to the beach in the afternoon.
Perfect. Anne of Green Gables.
Yes, so after lunch, we're going to head out to Cavendish area. This is a shot of the Green Gables Heritage Place. And we're going to be doing a visit there. And that's the setting that Lucy Maud Montgomery used when she wrote the Anne of Green Gables novels. She wrote over 500 poems and short stories, 20 novels, 19 of which were set right on Prince Edward Island, the most famous being Anne of Green Gables. And this home belonged to relatives of hers, but it's the setting that she used when she wrote the book. So you're going to visit the house. You can go down the path. The Lake of Shining Waters is there, the haunted woods, the old barn, and so on. For anybody who's familiar with the story, you know what I'm talking about. And people come from all over the world to go to Green Gables. This is not just a local thing. Everybody knows about Green Gables, and it's quite amazing. Lucy Maud Montgomery. So we'll do a little bit of a visit there before we head out to the national park.
Wow.
Look at this. Don't you wish we were there, Chris? Oh my God.
I do.
I love it here. Prince Edward Island National Park, it's Canada's smallest national park, so it's not a long drive to get through, but we're going to drive from through one gate and exit the other, making picture stops along the way. You're going to see our beautiful beaches. We're going to see the sand dunes. Just absolutely amazing. You're seeing the flat area here, but there's also some cliffs. You're going to see the some of the birds nesting in the cliffs as well. Just absolutely beautiful. I could spend the day here, and so could everybody else. We always say we should add an extra day and have a beach day.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Yes.
That'd be a lot of fun.
After we drew our drive through the national park, we're going to come through North Rustico, and North Rustico is a fishing community. We're going to learn about more about different types of fish. This is an area where, as we're driving along, looking out the window, you're going to see the mussel farms, and we'll talk to you about mussel farming in Prince Edward Island, cultivated blue mussels, and you're also going to see the oyster farms as well. So a little bit of a learning experience again as we make our way to lobster supper.
I mean,
it's going to be an experience. Yeah.
I mean, it's been a few days since they've had their lobster, right? They're craving more. So
exactly.
So we give you more. Now the lobster dinner that you enjoy in Shediac, it's Acadian style, so it's cold. But what you're going to have at the Glasgow lobster supper is, oh, like, tell them about it while I drool, Donna.
Yes, I mean, like as Chris mentioned, we in Shediac we're having it the Acadian way, the French way, which is they serve their lobster cold. The English serve it hot, and we're going to have it hot here. But if you choose to have it cold, you can. You'll see the plate there. He's got the cultivated mussels, and you can have buckets and buckets and buckets of mussels if you like. You know, they have
oh, that soup is so delicious too.
The fresh rolls right from the oven. They're hot, and the soup and the salad and the coleslaw and the potato salad, but you can only have one lobster.
You can
if you don't like the lobster, I mean, they have lots of different alternates there, right?
No, you're not going to leave hungry. The desserts.
Oh, the desserts.
Yeah.
Many different kinds of pie, and I mean the lemon meringue. The meringue is like 4 inches high. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, we can hardly move when we leave
Right.
here. Usually a supper stop or dinner stop is usually like an hour, but here it's longer just because there's so much food to eat.
Yeah, it's an experience in itself.
Amazing. Yeah. And so then after lobster dinner, we'll make our way back into Charlottetown for the overnight.
Perfect. So the following day, it's time to head back to Nova Scotia.
Yes, and this time we're going across the Northumberland Strait again, but instead of going via the Confederation Bridge, this time we're going to be taking the ferry across back to Nova Scotia and docking. We're going to be driving past the area of Pictou, and that's where the Scots settled that's where they landed when they first came to Nova Scotia. So they came over here on a ship called the Hector, and we'll talk to you all about that as we're driving along. We're going to be driving through past communities like Antigonish, making our way to Ald's Cove. And in Ald's Cove, we're going to have an included lunch at that beautiful property that you see here. No, lunch is on your own that day. I'm sorry. Lunch is on your own that day. As you can see, it's a stunning property with beautiful water views. And so you'll certainly enjoy your lunch there.
And awesome view from there of the Causeway. as well.
Yes,
That's how you get onto Cape Breton. Use the
yes.
Cancel Causeway.
So just a few minutes after we leave lunch, we'll be crossing the causeway, which is going to take us to beautiful Cape Breton Island. So you're going from Prince Edward Island to Cape Breton Island this day. You're going to learn all about the causeway because we'll talk to you about it as we're going across and making our way to Cape Breton. And once we get to Cape Breton, we'll continue along till we get to the community of Bedeck. And once we get to Bedeck, we're going to have a 2-night stay at the beautiful Inverary Resort. And our first stop is going to be at the Alexander Graham Bell Museum. And we're going to learn all about Alexander Graham Bell, the history. There's so many things that he was involved with that a lot of people don't realize. So it's going to be a very interesting stop there. And our hotel is only a 5-minute drive from there. Once we get to our hotel, it's a beautiful, beautiful property. It's located right on the Bredor Lake. Lots and lots of things to do at the Inverary once we get checked in, and we've got a 2-night stay, which is fantastic. You have an included dinner at the Inverary as well. So very, very nice experience here.
And the following day, certainly a highlight of the trip, the Cabot Trail, the world famous Cabot Trail in Cape Breton Highlands National Park. Just breathtaking.
Yes, we're doing the Cabot Trail, and the Cabot Trail is stunning. I mean, this is the reason a lot of people book on this tour, is to see the Cabot Trail. You're going to go. It's a loop around 180 miles back to Bedeck, like a big from Bedeck to Bedeck. We're going to be going over 4 mountains. You're going to get views of the Gulf of St. Lawrence. You're going to get views of the Atlantic Ocean. We're going to be making picture stops all day because it's breathtaking. Look out for moose because we usually see them. We're going to be doing a picnic lunch in the park that day in the national park, Cape Breton Highlands National Park. And we're also going to be doing a whale watch again. You can see some of the pictures here of the beautiful views that you'll see. This one from Mackenzie Mountain. You'll see a whale watch here again. Different. It's a different type of whale watch than the one that we did in St. Andrews. So also an experience for the people that weren't with us for the Fundy portion. This is your chance to do a whale watch as well. So quite interesting. And after we do our whale watch, we'll continue making stops along the way. This is where we're going to have our picnic lunch at McIntosh Brook and continue making stops, making our way back to Bedeck. Once we get to Bedeck, we will have another included dinner at the hotel.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. So the next morning we're going to leave Bedeck, and we're going to go. The last slide there was the Seal Island Bridge. We're going to be going across the Seal Island Bridge, making our way to Fortress Lewisburg. So you'll be driving across that bridge. Once we get to Fortress Lewisburg is huge. It's a National Historic Site. And it's not just a fort, like it's not just a defense, it's a fortress, which means all of the buildings are built behind the walls. And you're going to have a chance to explore Lewisburg, but we're going to have a guided tour there with a Parks Canada guide. Amazing amount of history here. You could spend days here. It's so large, you could spend days and not see it all. But I'll pick up maps and pass them out on the bus, and you'll see all the buildings on the map. So once you're free from your guide, you'll be able to explore the different buildings that are of interest to you. And everybody has different interests. So everybody's spread out, do your own thing and explore Fortress Lewisburg before we get back on the coach.
And then we make our way back to Halifax for our last night.
We're going to make our way back to Halifax, and in some instances, people will be leaving the tour after Lewisburg because they're going to be joining our Newfoundland tour if they want to
Absolutely.
continue on to Newfoundland.
As I've said about how the different pieces of the tour fit together, several of the departures will also match up with our Newfoundland tour. So, I mean, ultimately you could do a vacation with us, 23 days in length, covering all of Atlantic Canada, all of the, the key highlights. So,
and that's so great, Chris, because I mean, you've already paid to come here. You might as well do it all, right? You might as, if you have the time.
Take it all in, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
And for those people that are joining Newfoundland, we'll drop you off at a spot, and the Newfoundland coach will be leaving Halifax and picking you up along the way. Everyone else is going to stay on board. We're going to make our way back to the city of Halifax with stops along the way. And once we get to Halifax, we'll be checking back into the Cambridge Suites for our final night of the tour.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, Donna, thank you so much for taking us through the Maritime provinces. Like, I just want to jump right on the bus with you. We'll go all around together. Let's check out the chat to see if we have questions. How long is the ferry ride from New Brunswick to Nova Scotia? Is that one 2.5, Donna?
Yeah.
I think it's 2.5, right?
Yeah, it's about 2 hours
Yep.
and 15 minutes, 2.5 hours. Yeah.
Okay, so what else do we have here? Where do we park our car if we arrive in Halifax by car? So that would be your own arrangements. The host hotel in Halifax at Cambridge, they might be able to make an arrangement for you, but there are a lot of lots throughout the city. So definitely something that we can try to point you in the right direction with. Can
And
children
most people are arriving by air or train.
That's
anyway.
right. Yeah. Can children go on these tours? It's not recommended for children under 12. There's a historical, cultural emphasis, right? I mean, you're not visiting amusement parks, and when kids are taking in attractions that they're not interested in, they tend to misbehave. Right?
Well, and the drives too, they get bored. They like to sometimes be out running around, and sitting on a bus might not.
That's right. How much walking is involved? Is it an active tour? So with that, Donna, I mean, there are several components of this where you would need to walk a fair
Yes.
bit, or there's some instances where you could not join the group, but what do you think on that, Donna?
It's I guess it's up to the individual. I mean, there are places where walking is required. Sometimes in those places you have an opportunity that you can sit on a bench or something like that. But like I say, every case is different. You kind of have to judge yourself accordingly and know what you can and cannot do. But some places, Lewisburg is walking, and there's a lot of walking in
Rocky.
Lewisburg, but
Yeah.
you just have to gauge yourself. If you can't do it, you'll have to maybe, like I say, sit and just relax for a little bit.
And your best bet is really the next slide here. Well, we have our content. The next slide, we have our contact info, and call into our reservations line. Our agents very happy to chat with you about your individual situation to help you gauge whether or not you would enjoy the trip, right?
That's right.
Okay, so is this the 13-day maritime tour that you went through on this call? A bit confused with multiple tours. So yes, so it is the 13-day tour. And what we pointed out, Ken, is that there's the option, based on time, budget considerations, to do either the first half or the second half of the tour. If you're considering the 13-day
or the whole tour, yeah,
or the whole tour, right? So the 13-day maritime tour is everything you've seen throughout the presentation. Just one sec here. A couple more questions. Okay, so another question about mobility issues, and is it possible to rent a walker or a collapsible wheelchair? So as long as it folds up and can fit under the bus, absolutely. If it's a motorized wheelchair, unfortunately, the buses here don't accommodate that type of that type of wheelchair. And that one thing I would say as well, if you require assistance, you need to have a companion with you that can provide it, just because the tour director, needs to focus on everyone equally, right? So if someone needed some assistance at all the different stops, they would definitely need to have a traveling
And some of our areas
that.
are gravel as well, Chris. Some of them are not paved, they're gravel.
That's right.
So you get
That's
that
right.
in mind if you're
Exactly. And what about allergies for food sensitivities, gluten, vegetarian? These days, our partners that we work with, they're used to a lot of different considerations. So definitely, if you opt to call in for more information or to book, definitely let the res agent know what those considerations are, and certainly every effort will be made to accommodate. Gluten-free these days is easy, especially on this tour. So Donna, that's a wrap. Our tea at 3 on Wednesdays is on hiatus until fall. We are going to be sending out a recording of the presentation, and when you receive that, if you're not on our mailing list, be sure to reply to let us know you'd like to be added to that, because that's the best way to know when we're starting up again. On our website, www.atlantictours.com, you'll also find a link, webinars, and it's all of the past tea at 3 on Wednesdays. I mean, there's so many destinations that we've highlighted over the past couple of years. So definitely check those out. And Donna, again, thank you so much for walking us through.
Chris, another question just popped in. Did you see it?
Oh, did it?
Yeah, from Rubina. It says, is this tour going to be full bus, or are you still practicing COVID-19 precautions and not filling the bus? So we have a couple of different options if you'd like to explain that, Chris.
Absolutely, Rubina, awesome question. And what we're offering a number of small group departures now. These typically still on a full-size bus, but with a smaller group size. In terms of specific COVID precautions, right now, we follow, for the most part, what is dictated through public health, with an exception. We do require masks on the bus when you're not eating, and we're kind of following suit with the with trains and planes right now. They still feel it's important, and a bus is kind of a similar environment. So yeah, absolutely.
And depending too, Chris, when they watch this webinar, because we do the webinar today, things might change again.
That's a very good point. So like we should say, like, today's date is what is today's date, Donna?
Yeah, always keep in mind to check the websites, the government websites, to see, because it seems like things change on a frequent basis sometimes in regards to rules. So Chris is telling you the way things are today, but that could be different tomorrow.
Yeah, it's April 27th, right? Yeah. So, if you're watching this later on in the season, things could have changed. In terms of vaccinations, we do expect anyone traveling with us to be fully vaccinated. Okay. So some more questions have popped up here. Just bear with me. You're most welcome, Ken. So Ken, the bus does have a bathroom should you need it in between the designated stops. Obviously, it's ideal if folks wait until the designated stops, but sometimes you need to use the facilities, and they're there for that for sure. And let's see, what does the first half end? Okay, so the first half ends with the stay in Halifax in the middle. So the 13-day tour starts in Halifax. It's got the 2-night stay in Halifax in the middle before doing the second half. So if you're doing the 13-day tour, your main experience of Halifax in the surrounding area is those 2 overnights. If you're doing the first half, it's very much focused on the Bay of Fundy. So you're spending your time in Moncton, visiting the Hopewell Rocks, traveling through to the Fundy Trail Parkway onto St. John, which is right on the Bay of Fundy, St. Andrews, Bay of Fundy. You're ferrying over the Bay of Fundy to the Digby Pines, overlooking the Bay of Fundy, and then traveling the Annapolis Valley, where you'll certainly see the Bay of Fundy as well, back to Halifax. So the second
that would
part
be
of
their last night. That
would be the last night, is the first night in Halifax if you're doing the Wonders of the Bay of Fundy. So if you're doing the Enchanting Islands, that is your 2-night stay in Halifax, 2-night stay in Charlottetown, and 2-night stay in Bedeck. So individually amazing tours, but the full 13-day is the real McCoy, right, Donna?
It is, and this just gives people the option. Not everybody can get that amount of time off work, or maybe somebody's already been to some of these places. Maybe they just want to go to Cape Breton. Maybe they just want to go to Prince Edward Island, or whatever. This is geared to pretty much accommodate everybody, whatever it is that you'd like to do, whatever areas you'd like to visit. And as Chris mentioned, if you can do the whole Atlantic Maritime tours, that's bonus. That's great.
Well, oftentimes what we'll have, right? We'll have people book on, the Wonders of the Bay of Fundy portion, and they fall in love with, their tour director, like Donna, and their fellow travelers. And it's so sad when they know everyone else is continuing on and they're going home, right? Yeah. But we also have a lot of travelers who will, do the Bay of Fundy portion one year, the Enchanting Islands portion,
That's exactly what I was going to say. They come back the following year to do the part that they didn't do because they enjoyed it. So yeah, beautiful tour. Right. Beautiful.
Okay, I think that's it. Again, Donna, I really appreciate you doing this with me.
Thank you, Chris.
It's always a pleasure to see your lovely face.
And thank you to everybody for joining us today.
We really appreciate you taking the time to tune in. And again, in terms of knowing when we'll be starting these back up with Richard in the fall, your best bet is to be signing up for our newsletter. So when we send the email with the recording, just reply to that you'd like to be added to the newsletter, and then you'll always be in the know. Okay, so thank you again, everybody, and thank you, Donna. Appreciate you.